You continue to ask for greatness. You continue to pray for success. You continue to dream about a bigger future than where you are today. But let me get real with you. None of that occurs without consistency. That's the part nobody wants to discuss. Everyone wants the trophy, but nobody wants the everyday. The reality is you don't become great because you have a good day. You don't become successful because you had a shot of energy for 1 week. You become great when you get in the habit of showing up day after day, hour after hour, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when nobody's looking, especially when it's difficult. Consistency is the key to greatness. There's no avoiding. It's simple to get excited for a moment. It's simple to be motivated when the music is blaring, when the vibe is electric, when people are applauding you. But when the room is quiet, when it's only you, your vision, and the fact that this path is going to take longer than you anticipated, that's where brilliance is created, not in the limelight, but in the darkness where discipline resides. Each time you appear when you don't want to, you're setting a brick. And brick by brick, day by day, you're constructing something unstoppable. But you don't achieve the building without the piling. You don't achieve the reward without the chore. Some of you are angry today. You're angry because things are not happening quickly enough. You're angry because success has not appeared at your doorstep. But the reality is, it's not that you can't get it. It's that you haven't been consistent enough to earn it yet. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. The outcome you desire is on the other side of your consistency. The life you continue to imagine, it's not waiting for you to get lucky. It's waiting for you to commit and remain committed. You see the greats, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. It doesn't matter what walk of life they are from. The common denominator isn't talent. It's not timing. It's consistency. They perfected the process of showing up, doing it again. They rehearsed when nobody was cheering. They trained when nobody was clapping. And that's why they're standing where they are. It wasn't one moment of magic. It was thousands of moments of self-control packaged and delivered each day, every year. That's what distinguishes the top 1% from everyone else. That's what turns the dream into reality. And I'm aware that it's not glamorous. I'm aware that it's not sexy. Nobody's posting about the mundane days. Nobody's uploading the times when they battled distractions, fought through pain, and did the same task for the 100th time. But that's the price of greatness. That's the bill. Consistency is not a choice. It's a necessity. So the question isn't, can you work hard? It's, can you work hard consistently? Can you be present when it's not cool? Can you stick with it when the payoff is not obvious? Because if you can do that, if you can make yourself show up, even when it sucks, even when it's painful, then greatness is a guarantee. Success is imminent. The world does not need another gifted individual who only shows up when it's easy. The world requires disciplined soldiers who decide to be consistent, who decide to be committed, and who decide to be great each and every day. Everyone wants to be motivated. Everyone wants that fire, that rush of adrenaline, that enthusiasm which makes getting up early easy, grinding hard easy, and pushing through pain easy. But the thing is, this motivation is a liar. Motivation is inconsistent. It appears when it feels like and vanishes when you want it most. That's why the people who are really successful don't rely on it. They don't work off of a feeling. They work off of discipline. Because discipline will carry you farther than motivation ever will. You can't wait to be in the mood. You can't wait for the muse to descend. You can't construct a life, a dream, a legacy on waves of hype. You construct it on waves of decision. Those times when you say, I don't want it, but I'm going to do it anyway, that's discipline. That's what builds consistency. That's what sets apart the average from the exceptional. Motivation is psychological. It comes and goes. It's simple to be stuck in when things are all good. When you're well rested, when you have good news, when the sun is shining and people are in your corner. But what do you do when life slams you? What do you do when the alarm clock is ringing and you didn't get a good night's sleep? What do you do when your plans fail, when you get betrayed, when you're exhausted, starving, and in pain? You expect motivation to bail you out. No, it's nowhere. That's where discipline takes over. That's when habits get activated and say, we don't skip, we don't quit, we don't fold. Discipline is a choice you make each and every day, not when you want to, but because you've committed to something greater than your feelings. That's where the power lies. That's where the change occurs. When you give up chasing the fleeting emotional high and begin chasing outcomes, when you give up waiting for the right state of mind and begin creating the right mindset, that's when the game changes. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm saying it's going to be worth it. The grind isn't always going to feel good. Sometimes it's going to feel like a war between who you are now and who you're becoming. But if you can ever win that war day by day, if you can condition your mind to do what must be done rather than what is easiest, then you're going to tap levels of yourself you didn't even know you had. So stop telling yourself you're not motivated. Stop waiting for the feeling to show up. Begin showing up anyway. Begin deciding to be disciplined when your body just wants to give up. Begin following through on your commitment even when your feelings want to convince you otherwise. Because at the end of the day, motivation may get you started, but discipline is what keeps you moving. Each successful person can think of each champion, each legend. They all experienced times where motivation vanished, but they didn't. They persisted. And if you desire to achieve that level, You've got to discontinue inquiring how you feel and begin asking who you promised you would be. Discipline is adhering to the vow you committed to yourself long after the mood you committed to it and has passed. That's the trick. That's the route. That's how you pressure yourself to be consistent. Everyone desires to win, but no one wants to do the mundane work. No one wishes to be told that the secret to success lies not in some mystical moment, some overnight miracle, or some viral epiphany. The true success, the actual transformation, it lies in the everyday. It's buried deep within the repetition, in the late night hours, in the hours nobody witnesses and nobody is aware. It's the monotonous work that makes champions. Others believe greatness is constructed on grand plays, heroic breakthroughs, flashy victories. That's merely the outcome. What they fail to see is what preceded it. The hundreds of early mornings, late nights, repetition of the same routine day in and day out. That's where greatness resides. That's where consistency starts. You want to be great, then you'd better fall in love with the grind. Not the highlight, not the cheering, but the process. Consider it, any top athlete didn't become that by trying something new each day. They became that through repetition of doing the same drills, the same training, the same recovery techniques over and over again until it was second nature. Musicians don't learn to master an instrument by playing only when it's enjoyable. They play scales, warm-ups, and techniques 1,000 times until the mundane becomes lovely. Entrepreneurs don't create empires by leaping from idea to idea, because they build systems, they optimize processes, and they push with relentless repetition. It's the dull work, the mundane task that creates breakthrough. But here's the catch. Most folks lack the patience for it. They crave quick, they crave sexy, they crave new. But consistency is not sexy. It's not meant to be. That's why it's so potent. Most aren't going to stick around long enough in the drudgery stage to notice. They quit when the excitement wears off. They quit when it gets stale. But if you can get through that, if you can accept the monotony, have faith in the system, and keep coming back, you'll differentiate yourself from 99% of the population. You need to change your mindset. You've got to begin to see the mundane work as the true work, because that's what it is. That repetition, that consistency, that's the grind that breaks you. And the best part, each time you select discipline over distraction, each time you select to remain focused on the fundamentals, you're piling up wins. They may be invisible initially. No one might even notice, but you're creating something deep, something strong, something real. The answer is, can you be loyal with the little things? Can you appear for the task that's not important? Because achievement doesn't come from performing something once. It comes from doing the right thing 1,000 times. That's what splits the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the achievers. Everyone desires the reward, but they don't want to do the mundane work that generates the reward. So if you truly want it, if you're honest with yourself about being the best version of yourself, then drop the search for excitement. Begin to show up for the work, the dull work, the slow, quiet, disciplined work that no one speaks about. That's the work that alters your life. That's how you become consistent. That's how you create a legacy. Everyone wants to win, but they're always looking to their feelings to get them there. One day they feel motivated, so they go all in. The next day they don't feel it, so they take a break. That's the problem. You're letting your mood decide your movement. You're letting feelings dictate your future. But the people who are really locked in, the ones who succeed at the highest level, they don't rely on moods. They build systems. They create routines. They create a framework that keeps them responsible regardless of how they feel. Because your mood will deceive you. Your feelings will change day to day, hour to hour. There will be mornings where you'll feel exhausted, days when you'll feel disheartened, weeks where progress is imperceptible. And if you're relying on inspiration to strike and get you through, you're going to be in a cycle of inconsistency. But when you've got a system, when you've established habits, created a framework, locked in your process, and you don't care how you feel, you show up anyway. You execute anyway. You've got to quit leaving it up to yourself. Quit waking up and wondering, do I feel like doing it today? Because the answer will always be no sooner or later. And the second you allow yourself to wonder about it, you've already lost your advantage. Winners shut off the argument. They don't bargain with laziness. They don't debate with procrastination. They get up, they stick to the plan, and they do what they said they were going to do, period. That's what systems are for. They eliminate the guesswork of feelings. They remove your emotions from the situation and substitute them with discipline. And that's what enables consistency to flourish. You don't have to feel motivated when the system is set up. You simply follow through. You simply execute. The same reason you don't have to get pumped to brush your teeth. You just do it. Why? Because it's an autopilot. It's a part of your life. That's how your goals should be. That's how your daily routine should be hardwired, automatic, non-negotiable, ingrained in your DNA. Look at any high performer. Look at the people you admire. They've all built systems. They don't wing it. They don't leave their dreams to chance. They organize their day. They structure their priorities, and they stick to the routine. Even when it's boring, even when they don't want to. That's what gives them the edge. That's what makes their progress consistent instead of random. If you're still counting on willpower alone, you're already behind. Willpower dissipates, but systems endure. You can't simply hope you will do the right thing. You've got to create your environment, your schedule, your habits such that doing the right thing becomes the easy choice. You've got to automate your discipline. You've got to trap yourself into a rhythm that continues to drive you forward even when your mind wants to draw you back. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being prepared. It's about understanding that there are going to be days where your energy is off, your motivation is lacking, and your mood is against you. But because you have a system, a plan, a routine, you still show up. You still get it done. And that consistency pays off over time. That structure creates momentum. That discipline becomes greatness. So stop waiting to feel like it. Stop existing on feeling. Build your system. Live by your routine. Let your system take you when your mood won't, because that's the way you win. That's the way you remain consistent. And that's the way you make yourself unstoppable. Your future isn't made in some distant point of breakthrough or stroke of luck. It's made here now in what you do every day. That's the truth most people don't see. They believe the major decisions are what make their lives, but it's not the major choices. It's the minor ones. It's what you do every day that decides who you're going to be. Each day is a brick, and the life you're living 5 years from now, it's being constructed with the bricks you're placing today. The catch is most people don't realize how much power their everyday habits hold. They say, it's just one day off. It's just one workout missed, one reading session skipped, one lazy morning, no problem. But what they can't see is that each day you miss, each time you let it slide, you're removing bricks from your own foundation. You're destabilizing the building of your future. On the flip side, every time you show up, even if it's not perfect, you're adding to it. You're reinforcing who you're becoming. And that's what matters most. You can't outsmart the mathematics of consistency. You can't work hard every now and then and have long-term success. You can't water a plant every 2 weeks and be surprised that it's dying. The same principle applies to your goals, your development, your aspirations. They require everyday attention. They require you to be present every day, even if it's just a bit. Because small things done on a consistent basis create enormous change over time. And let me get real with you. It's not a matter of how intense you are. It's a matter of how often. You don't have to do it all out every day. You simply must refuse to stop. You must get into a groove that keeps you advancing, even when some days are slower than others. Momentum is not achieved through bursts of brilliance. It's achieved through simple, persistent motion day after day, the type that no one applauds for, the type that no one notices. But it matters. It all matters. You tell me you want to be successful, but what is your days telling? What is your routine telling about the life you're creating? Because words are cheap. Vision boards, goals, plans, they do nothing without persistent action. If you keep waiting until tomorrow to do it, you'll keep waking up to the same life. You don't become a functioning level of your ambition. You fall to the level of your habits. So begin treating today like it counts, because it does. Don't merely think about the dream. Consider what you do today will get you 1 inch further. Consider the future that you claim you desire. And then ask yourself, is what I am doing today creating that life or dismantling it? That's the ultimate test. And if the answer does not match, change it. Adjust. Lock in. Begin building better bricks. You have more power than you realize. You don't have control over everything that happens, but you do have control over what you do with each day. And those days build upon each other. They compound. You don't need to fix your life overnight. You just need to shift how you approach today and repeat the next day. That's the game. That's how you bring your dream from imagination to reality. So don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for inspiration. Your future self is waiting on you to show up today, to be consistent today. Because what you do today isn't just for today. It's building who you're becoming and what your life is becoming. One brick at a time, one day at a time. That's how legacies are created. Each time you get yourself to show up, even when you don't want to, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is paying attention, you're doing something a heck of a lot stronger than just getting a task done. You're creating trust, not with everyone else, not for praise, not for validation. You're creating trust in yourself. And that trust, that inner faith, that's everything. Because the more consistent you are, the more you begin to believe in your own word. And when you believe in yourself, nothing can stop you. The majority of people don't fail because they're not able. They fail because inwardly, they don't believe they're going to be able to follow through. They've broken promises to themselves so many times their confidence has been blown. And each time they tell themselves, I'm going to start, and then stop 3 days later, they're affirming that self-doubt. They're saying to themselves, I don't keep my word. That's why consistency is so powerfully transformative. It's not only about the outcome you achieve, it's about the person you become in the process. When you commit to being consistent, when you keep showing up time and time again, no matter what you feel, you begin rewriting your identity. You begin to change from a person who trees to a person who gets things done, from a person who excuses themselves to a person who makes it happen. And that change on the inside, that is the basis of true achievement. Because confidence isn't built on bravado, it's built on proof. It's from evidence. When you can stand in front of yourself and say, I've done it before, I've followed through before, I've been disciplined before, now you have evidence. And this evidence creates unshakable belief. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be consistent. Because even on your worst day, when you still get up and show up, you're demonstrating to yourself that your standards are not up for grabs, that your commitment is not rooted in comfort. It's rooted in character. That's what makes everything different. You no longer wait for someone else to believe in you. You no longer look for outside validation. You believe in you, because what you do gives it credibility. That's why it's so risky to keep quitting on yourself. Every time you quit, every time you give up when things get hard, you're reinforcing the notion that you can't be depended on, that your resolutions are not a requirement, that your word isn't important. And if you can't trust yourself, then how can anyone else? How can your dreams trust you? How can your future arrive if you won't? So I ask, are you doing the work because you love it or because you committed? Because every time you keep your word, especially when it's not easy, you're creating something within yourself that can't be taken from you. That trust, that discipline, that understanding in yourself that you can show up even when it's hard. That's what keeps you in rhythm when life sends jabs. That's what divides the ones who finish from the ones who disappear. And the great news, it compounds. The more you trust yourself, the more you get it done. The more you get it done, the more confident you get. The more confident you get, the bigger the goals you can set. And now you've got a cycle of growth, of faith, of strength, all because you committed to being consistent no matter what. Don't pursue the feeling, pursue the trust, pursue the version of you that continues to appear. That version, that's the one that will transform your life, not the emotional version, not the one that works only when it's convenient, but the disciplined, committed version of you that's accumulating proof day after day. Consistency built trust is the most reliable foundation you'll ever establish. Establish it, guard it, love it. You won't want to, and you have to do it anyway. That's the mentality that makes the talkers different from the movers. Everyone loves to hear about pursuing goals, pursuing dreams, being successful. But what they don't speak about is the grind that arrives when the exhilaration wears off. The thing is, there will be days when your body feels exhausted, your mind is preoccupied, your heart is not into it. You will be inclined to skip, postpone, say to yourself, tomorrow I will begin. But if you ever give in each time you do not want to, you will never create consistency. And without consistency, nothing great is constructed. The truth is this: feelings come and go, but habits remain. Discipline remains. You can't decide every day how you'll feel, but you can decide how you'll react to those feelings. When you allow how you feel to determine what you do, you become a slave to your emotions. But when you reverse that, when you act in spite of emotion, you become powerful. You reclaim control of your life. You believe the champions, the best in the world, the ones you're in awe of, want to give it their all each and every day. You believe they're constantly pumped up, constantly motivated. No. What there is dedicated, what there is driven, they've conditioned their minds to drive their feelings. They get up exhausted and they work. They report for duty injured and they get the job done. They doubt and they press on because they know something most don't. Greatness doesn't ask how you feel. It asks how you perform. There's power in showing up when it's hard. There's strength in doing it anyway, because those are the days that build your character. Those are the days that grow your confidence. Anybody can show up when it's easy, but when it's hard, when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you'd rather quit, that's when it counts. That's when consistency is built. That's when belief is forged. And listen to me, those tiny choices to move forward, to continue going even when all of you wants to quit, they compound. You're conditioning yourself. Each time you do it anyway, you're showing your mind that you're boss. You're saying to your body, we go no matter. And soon you don't require motivation. You don't rely on getting into the mood. You simply do, because now it's what you are. You want to succeed. Begin doing what needs to be done even when it feels awkward. You want to remain consistent. Give your emotions the microphone no more. Get up, go to the gym, make the call. Read the material, rehearse your art. It doesn't matter that you don't feel like it. It matters that you promised yourself something and you're going to honor it. That's how you get ahead of the pack. Most people quit when it gets in the way. Most people quit when there ain't no emotion there. But if you can be the one who keeps going, who keeps coming, who keeps grinding, who keeps building despite the resistance, you will be the one who rises. Because there is no competition in that space. Most people don't even make it there. So stop waiting to feel ready. You don't require a spark. You don't require a sign. You simply need to decide. You won't want to do it. Do it anyway. That's how you create consistency. That's how you create trust. That's how you create a future. Not on the days you feel great, but on the days you show up no matter what. You need to stop starting over. Each time you stop and start again, you lose momentum, and momentum is everything. Progress isn't being hard for a couple of days and then vanishing. It's about piling up days, piling up wins, creating something that snowballs over the long term. But if you keep starting and stopping, you're constantly resetting the clock on your growth. You never allow yourself to really level up because you just fall back to square one. And I understand it's easy to slip. Life comes, stuff gets real, you get weary, you get frustrated, and perhaps you say to yourself, I'll take a break, I'll work on it next week. And then next week becomes next month, And before you know it, you're back where you originally began, frustrated and wondering why you're not achieving anything. It's because you haven't hung around long enough in the battle to discover what you're truly capable of. You've created the habit of quitting when it gets hard rather than grinding through and believing the process. You want to know the truth. Starting is not the hard part. Staying is. Anyone can start. Anyone can make a big declaration. Set a goal, get hyped up, post about their new journey. That's easy. But consistency, that's rare. That's where the real power is. Because staying consistent means you've made a decision to keep going even when the excitement is gone, even when no one's watching, even when you're tired of the routine. The reason why you don't see the outcome you desire isn't that you lack what it takes. It's that you continue to interrupt the process. Plant a seed, water it for 3 days, and then pull it up because it's not growing quick enough. That's what you're doing each time you begin and quit. Growth is a slow process. Transformation is a slow process. You've just got to remain planted. You've got to be consistent. You've got to keep nurturing the vision, even when you don't see immediate results. Each time you begin again, you're not only wasting time, you're betraying trust with yourself. You're saying to your mind, we don't ever finish what we start. And that's your habit. That's who you become. But the minute you say, I'm finished quitting, I'm finished beginning again, I'm going to complete what I began, everything starts to shift. That's when you gain confidence. That's when you notice progress. That's when consistency sets in and starts to multiply your effort. You don't require more motivation. You don't require a new plan. You simply need to continue with the one you have. You need to appear again and again, even when it is dreary, even when it is difficult, even when you are not certain that it is functioning. Because it is working, you are just not providing it enough time. You're just not allowing the process to do what it is intended to do. The world's most successful individuals didn't achieve success by being perfect. They succeeded because they didn't give up. They arrived when they did not want to. They remained on course when nobody had faith in it. They did not start anew whenever it became difficult. They went through, and since they persisted, they gained momentum, and that kept them moving when others quit. So if you're fed up with being stuck in the same spot, if you're fed up with feeling like you're always beginning again, make a choice now. This time, you're not giving up. This time, you're staying there. This time, you're completing what you've begun, because that's how you grow. That's how you triumph. That's how you make yourself consistent. And when you are consistent, there's nothing you can't achieve. You've got to make it not negotiable. Whatever your mission is, whatever your goal is, whatever you tell me you're pursuing, it can't be an option. It can't be something you do when you feel like it, when the mood strikes, when the weather is good, when life is easy. If you desire real success, sustainable growth, and ultimate quitting-proof consistency, you have to eliminate the possibility of quitting. You have to take the back door away. This is the thinking of high achievers. I do it because I said I would, period. Yesterday, too many people gave excuses a seat at the table. They say, if I'm not too exhausted, I'll go to the gym. If I have enough time, I'll study. If I feel better, I'll work on my goals. You can't live like that and find success. Winners don't play in the game of if. They play in the game of when. They plan the work, they book it, and they make it happen. Rain or shine, fatigued or rested, inspired or uninspired. They do it like breathing, mandatory, automatic, non-negotiable. Consider the things in your life you never doubt. You don't wake up and think about whether or not you will brush your teeth. You simply do it. Why? Because it's not a choice. It's part of your habit. You've committed to it being a part of you. That's how your goals have to be treated. No more, should I do it today? You already know the answer. Yes, every day, because it's what you do. Because you've undergone that identity transition. You need to break from letting your emotions dictate your future. Break from leaving space for negotiation during times of vulnerability. Because when you're exhausted, when you're stressed, when life is crushing you, those are the times when your mind will seek to bargain with you. It'll whisper to you to take the path of least resistance, to rest today and double up tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes never. You know, you've been there. Why go on repeating it then? The answer is easy, but not simple. Decide once and live by it daily. No backtracking, no arguing with yourself. Once you've made the commitment, the work becomes an extension of yourself. Whether it's waking up at 5 a.m., honoring your diet, doing your study time, or grinding through your reps, if you committed to doing it, it's done. That's the new standard. That's how consistency is created. And it has nothing to do with being perfect. It has everything to do with keeping your word to yourself. It's about creating a personal code of honor that doesn't fold at the first sign of changing emotions. Because when you begin to treat your goals as immovable, everything else begins to move. You stop skipping, you stop restarting, you stop making excuses. You start making progress. You start becoming the person you vowed to yourself that you would become. So if you're serious, really serious about your future, quit messing around with your effort. Commit. Make the work non-negotiable. Show up with the same intensity and discipline on day one as on day 100. You don't perform at the level of motivation. You perform at the level of your standards. Set them high, make them sacred, and don't violate them for anything. That's how you create consistency that lasts. That's how you move from wanting it to becoming it. Non-negotiable work, non-negotiable commitment. Because when quitting is no longer an option, success is inevitable. Consistency creates results, yes, but more than that, it creates identity. When you appear every single day, when you persist with the work regardless of what's going on, you don't just create habits, you create you. You become the type of person who does not miss. You become someone who gets things done. You set a standard so high that others around you can feel it. And more importantly, you can feel it. And once you are that person, success is no longer a matter of whether or not, it's a question of when, because you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the brightest or the quickest. You simply have to be the one who won't break, the one who won't quit. Consistency makes you unstoppable, not because every day is a masterpiece, but because every day is yours. You own it. You're present with purpose, not with excuses, with passion, not with uncertainty. That level of discipline, that level of enthusiasm, it values you up. It values your internal standard. People begin to take notice. Opportunities begin to appear, not because you were fortunate, because your consistency made you noticed. It made you dependable. It made you irrefutable. When you persist at doing what most people do when they feel like it, you rise. You become the one that people rely on. You become the one that people look up to, not because of what you're doing, but because of who you've become. Consistency becomes your legacy. But more significant than what others perceive is what you come to know for yourself. Each day that you present yourself, even when it's tough, you erode self-doubt. You quiet the voice that reminds you you can't. You show yourself you can do it. You're capable, disciplined, focused, and driven. That knowledge. That's what takes you higher. That's what propels you beyond your previous limits. You no longer require outside approval. You no longer rely on hype. You got something better, evidence, proof, a track record of execution that nobody can take away from you. That's what this entire game is. Not merely getting things done, but becoming the one who gets them done no matter what. That's the difference between wishful thinking and change, between beginning something and completing it. And when you become persistent at this level, when you require yourself to be present time after time, win or lose, emotion or not, you create something that most will never enter power. Because here's the reality: consistency isn't glamorous. It's not boisterous. It's not showy. It's not always enjoyable. But it works. It builds. It compounds. It repays you in confidence, clarity, and results. While everybody else is beginning over, altering course, holding out for motivation to arrive, you're already progressing, already constructing, already developing. So let them talk. Let them wait. Let them start and stop. You just keep going. You remain locked in, because consistency is now your superpower. It's not something you attempt anymore. It's who you are. And when that's the case, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not exhaustion, not fear. You've already won, because you never give up showing up.